Here lies the Nintendo Direct. It's been a fun ride, but all good things have to come to an end. Am I being too dramatic? Is this too much? Okay. Well, it's been about 7 months since the last general Nintendo Direct. Nintendo's given us a lot of things like, partner showcases, indie worlds, Pokemon Presents, even Mario Galaxy movie directs, but we still have not got the one we've been waiting for, and it looks like it's going to be longer than you thought. But at the same time, we kind of just got a Nintendo Direct from Nate the Hate. This is an insider who's been pretty daggone accurate. Like, he's like the new person. When he says something, it happens. Like the new PRO, if you will. But he's pretty much came out with a podcast talking about the future of Nintendo this year and just slated pretty much Nintendo's entire schedule. They are going to hog tie, bro. Of course, we still have to wait and see if he's correct about the stuff that he's talked about, but man, he pretty much detailed so many things. A new Star Fox game getting announced this month and being released sometime this summer. He said Splatoon Raiders and Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave are both coming this summer. He said there's going to be some type of Switch sports game, whether it be a Switch 2 Edition, or a Switch 2 Sports. Better. And he also said for the holiday season there would be a big Ocarina of Time remake for the anniversary, which there's so much stuff to talk about here. We're gonna have to talk about all that stuff individually. But Nate also said some things that really put a damper on things. 3D Mario not happening this year, and also a Nintendo Direct. Yeah, don't expect one until June the earliest. Yeah, there's a lot I want to talk about with this, but before we do, I just want to say thank you guys real quick for tuning in and giving so much support the last couple of days. You guys are really getting us close to our goal of 400,000 subscribers. Look how close we are. We're so close. So please, if you're new and you're watching this video and you enjoy Nintendo content, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to help us reach our goal. Thank you so much, and let's dive into the misery. If we really do have to wait until June, which it looks very likely with the way things are going, I mean, it's already the beginning of April, Nintendo hasn't even given us a hint that a Direct is coming, that would be a 9-month gap between general Nintendo Directs, which is like the biggest we've ever had. Yeah, that big, Miyamoto. And I'll be honest with you, it's really confusing, but at the same time, No, it's just confusing. I don't know what else to say about it. There's no quarantine or virus going around where Nintendo has to rethink their plans. It's not like they don't have games coming out to announce. I mean, you've got Splatoon Raiders, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, Rhythm Heaven Groove, Yoshi information they could give us. And if Nate's right about a Switch Sports and a Star Fox coming this summer, and Star Fox even gets announced this month in April and there's no Nintendo Direct, I'll be even more confused. This also isn't like 2024 and beginning of 2025 where Nintendo's winding down of a generation and trying to get started with a new one. This is literally still the first year of their brand new console. And maybe you're thinking, well, it could be because of the Mario Galaxy movie. Well, that's never been a thing in the past, because back in 2023, Nintendo still had a Nintendo Direct in February while having the movie in April. Shoot, they even had a Mario movie Direct right after the General. So why is this Nintendo's game plan? I genuinely have no clue. The only thing that possibly comes to my mind is because of the results and the reactions of the last general Nintendo Direct. Now, the last Nintendo Direct didn't set any records for like the most viewed Direct. I mean, some of their highest ones were like 6 to 7 million. Shut up. But 5.3 million fans and casual people watching your latest video game showcase is pretty nuclear still. I mean, that is a great amount of people. So I decided to do some deeper research because I had a theory, but I wasn't sure if it was correct. Now, I was known as like the big Switch 2 hater when it first started because I had one of the only negative reactions to the first Switch 2 Direct, and I thought maybe it really just was me because it seemed like everybody else around me really loved the thing. But in order for my reaction to feel even slightly justified, and for my theory to be true, I need to see a big difference with the like to dislike ratio from these Nintendo Directs. So I started going back and just looking at pretty much every single past Nintendo Direct Nintendo had, at least for the Switch 1. Pay attention to the views and the like to dislike ratio. In June of 2024, Nintendo put out 6.4 million views, but got 4.9 thousand dislikes, which isn't bad at all. Moving back to the Nintendo Direct of September 2022, they got 5.2 million views with 8,000 dislikes, a little higher, but still nothing crazy. Moving back even further to the February Nintendo Direct of 2022, they got 6.3 million views, a lot of views, and only 5.6 thousand dislikes. And let's go back even further. For some reason, these views seem a little low for Nintendo E3, but in 2021, they got 2.1 million views during E3 and only 4,000 dislikes. But you can go check this out for yourself. yourself, because the further you go back, it seems like it gets even better. People really love Switch 1 Nintendo Directs, especially earlier on. I mean, there were hardly any dislikes. People genuinely loved tuning in, and it had great viewership and great reception. But I've decided to now compare those to the 2 Directs that we've gotten for Switch 2 so far. And oh boy, the last Nintendo Direct that we gotten in September of 2025 had 5.3 million views, which is pretty normal for viewership, and it had 25,000 dislikes. Now, nothing's really changed here. In fact, the viewership is still right there in the median. It's a little lower maybe than some of their biggest Nintendo Directs, but still, it still has a very similar amount of likes. But the dislikes are super sky high now compared to what they used to be. Now, regardless of how you look at it, 156,000 likes to 25,000 dislikes is still good, but man, it's not good to what Nintendo standards for Nintendo Directs used to be. Now, the last Nintendo Direct was just bad. I think all around, there weren't many big announcements, and I think most people were really just sour on the thing. So I thought, okay, maybe this was just a case of one bad Direct, but would Nintendo really pause Directs because of one bad showing? Well, not necessarily, because technically, there's been 2. For the Switch 2 Nintendo Direct, it got a whopping 7 million viewers, but 27,000 dislikes to a 229,000 likes. Now, this isn't technically a fair comparison, because we don't have a Switch 1 Nintendo Direct that was focused on the console, and it was just like a Direct. I mean, we had a presentation, which Nintendo never officially put up on their website or on their YouTube channel, and we also had like a reveal trailer they didn't put up. The only thing we have is this overview trailer for the Switch 1, and even with that said, I mean, look at those dislikes. So how did we go from 3 to 4,000 dislikes to over 20,000 in the last 2 Nintendo Directs? Well, maybe I can help to put some insight into this, because as someone who hasn't liked any of the Switch 2 Nintendo Directs so far, which there's only 2 of them, I know, but I wasn't a fan of either one, because I felt like what they showed wasn't stuff that was worthy of a new Nintendo Switch 2. Their quote-unquote pack-in game that they showed off this time around was a $10 tutorial. Drag and Drive was drag and drive, and I felt like over 80% of the show was just Switch 1 games getting Switch 2 editions and also just third-party titles. I mean, if we really break it down to what was the new exciting stuff they showed off, well, they showed off Mario Kart World, which regardless of how you feel about the game, this was one of the craziest trailers I've ever seen. I was so hyped to start the Direct, and everything from here just fell off. They showed off like 30 seconds of a third Hyrule Warriors, which I don't think anyone was really jumping out of their seats for that one. GameCube NSO was cool, but it was only like 3 games at launch and like 5 games currently. But honestly, I felt like this was a funny reveal for your new console. This is something that should have came in a Direct later on, like GameCube games. More old stuff. But then they ended the show with a new Kirby Air Riders, which is fine, but only a small portion of fans would really care about this, and then a new 3D Donkey Kong, which is really exciting for Donkey Kong, but I think some people were still left feeling a little underwhelmed by this. I mean, there were still some great third-party announcements here. You had Deltarune and a brand new FromSoft exclusive for the Switch 2 being Duskbloods. Even though they didn't show much off, it was still a pretty big announcement for them. But I just feel like Nintendo fans clearly wanted a little bit more than that. But as controversial as my opinion was of the first General Direct for Switch 2, the second one I think we all kind of agreed on was pretty lackluster. I mean, once again, it just felt like Nintendo was relying on old games. For Mario's 40th anniversary, it was a pack of Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, old games. They showed off a new Mario Tennis game. Did it turn out to be a good one? Yeah, but it was just another Mario Tennis game, and guess what their big game for the anniversary was? Another old game. In fact, I didn't even realize this, but the only 2 new games that they showed off for the Switch 2 during this presentation was Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, a pretty bland looking 2D Yoshi game, and Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, which ended the show. Now, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave actually looks really good, but it's Fire Emblem, and you know with that being the last reveal, people are going to have a big issue with that. But that was really it for that Direct, outside of Virtual Boy coming to NSO, where you had to buy a Virtual Boy to play the thing. Also, old games. What makes this even worse is Nintendo had Splatoon Raiders right there to show off, but instead they just dropped a random trailer during the summer for the anniversary and just said, yeah, we're not showing you or talking about this game for another year. It's so weird. But with that last Nintendo Direct also now being the second one in a row, at least for the General Directs, to have over 20,000 dislikes, I feel like this is the only thing that possibly makes sense as to why Nintendo's a little hesitant to put out a Direct right now. And honestly, if they don't have enough games or enough hype to make it a good Direct, I can't really complain. I mean, maybe it is for the best, because I'm tired of just getting mediocre Nintendo Directs where everybody's just like, yeah, that was a boring show. Like, I'm ready to have some heat again, where Nintendo's just dropping banger after banger and getting us excited. But at the same time, I feel like this was a good opportunity to do so. If there's a new Star Fox game coming out, a new Switch Sports, Zelda's Anniversary is getting a big Ocarina of Time remake for the holiday, plus you have Splatoon Raiders, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, Rhythm Heaven Groove to talk about, and Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, I feel like it could have been the perfect opportunity to have a really good Nintendo Direct finally, but Nintendo just insists to stay quiet. But at the same time, Nintendo can't be upset about these leaks, because when you wait this long, about 7 months since your last general Nintendo Direct and haven't had one, not a single one this entire year, this is what happens. So Nintendo can't afford to just not have presentations because the last two did bad. Because if they keep doing this and deciding to wait, their entire catalog of games is just going to keep getting leaked. Like, the entire year is pretty much known now if this stuff actually comes true, which I do believe it will. Nin10doland is extremely reliable. And as a really big Star Fox fan, I will be incredibly disappointed if Nintendo just decides to casually drop the next big game in the franchise on Twitter one morning, where a lot of people join in together to watch these Nintendo Directs for reveals just like this, bringing back classic IPs like Star Fox and bringing them into a big, new, exciting light. It's just going to suck if they just succumb it to a Twitter drop. I mean, it's just not going to get the attention that it deserves. And if any game needs a big Nintendo Direct reveal, it's Star Fox. Now, Fox's presence in the movie definitely helps. He has a really big role, so I think a lot of kids are going to be so excited to jump into Star Fox, and I think them announcing a new Star Fox this month would make so much sense, and I think that marketing alone would be very, very good for the game. Still, man, a general Nintendo Direct with all the games that we know that's just coming without even talking about new announcements, Nintendo could have had one of the better Nintendo Directs that they've ever had. Of course, not everyone's going to be happy, but man, announcing an Ocarina of Time remake, a new Star Fox, a new Switch Sports, and new information on Splatoon Raiders, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, Rhythm Heaven Groove, I mean, they would be cooking, dude. It's just kind of upsetting. You see how many people watch these Nintendo Directs? 5 to 6 million, sometimes even upwards of 7 million people. You're not going to get that same amount of viewage on a new Star Fox trailer that you drop on YouTube. It's just not going to happen. And I think another problem from Nintendo now is they're afraid to reveal games too early because of situations like Tears of the Kingdom, but honestly, I feel like these situations are fine. This is where I talk about 3D Mario. Right. Real quick, before I talk about 3D Mario, what do I mean Nintendo doesn't reveal games early anymore? They literally just did. Splatoon Raiders was revealed last summer, and we haven't heard a word about it. Rhythm Heaven Groove, a Switch 1 Rhythm Heaven game, is over a year since its reveal, and we don't know when this game is coming out. What are we talking about? I'm telling you right now, depending on what Nintendo ends these directs with, sometimes makes the whole show for people. They could have an entire show of just like straight 44 minutes of absolute nothingness, and if the last minute is a big trailer for a crazy upcoming game in a major franchise, many people will immediately slap that like button and say, I'm so excited because there's a new 3D Mario, there's a new 3D Zelda, there's a big Luigi's Mansion game coming, something. I know everybody hates it when I say that Nintendo needs a big game right now, but man, I mean, would it hurt Nintendo just to say, hey, that 3D Mario is coming. Here's a sneak peek. Hey, that 3D Zelda is coming. Here's a sneak peek. In fact, they've done it with almost the last, 4 3D Zelda games? Something like that would be really big for their Nintendo Directs. So why can they do it with Splatoon Raiders? Why can they do it with something like Rhythm Heaven or even Fire Emblem, but they can't do it with a new Mario game? For instance, if Nin10doland is correct stating that the 3D Mario game will not be making it this holiday, he claims it could be some type of internal delay. It looked like it was supposed to come this year, whether it be because of Rockstar's GTA 6 or whatever it may be. It looks like it's coming next year in 2027. That's fine. There should be no reason Nintendo can't reveal this game some sort of time this year, whether it be at a June presentation or later on in a September one. This game needs to be revealed. And you know what? I'll give Nintendo the benefit of doubt here. Maybe they actually know this. Maybe they saw the dislikes on the last 2 Nintendo Directs and said, dude, we ended it with a 3D Donkey Kong, which is good, but it's not our Mario. And then we ended the second one with a Fire Emblem game. It's time that we cook with this next one. We can't let people down, so let's wait until it's the perfect time to reveal these games. Maybe that's what they're doing, and maybe that's why they haven't had a general Nintendo Direct yet. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, and if that's the case, I have no problems with it. Make sure you get all your exciting reveals bundled up together and make Nintendo Directs good again. Make them exciting, make them big presentations where people can't stop talking about the reveals, where there's tons of reactions online of people just being so genuinely excited for the games that they revealed, and not just like, hey, there's a new Yoshi's coloring book out, you know what I mean? But unfortunately, this does put Nintendo Direct in a bind that I completely understand. If they just keep popping out general Nintendo Directs around the same time frames they always do, one in February, one in June, and one in September, and they don't have the games to show good content for it, then people are going to be upset, and they're going to continue to dislike these things. But if they continue to wait as long as they are, and not give us Nintendo Directs, you're going to have people like Nate the Hate leak all this information, and all your games coming out are going to get shown off before you even announce them. So it's a lose-lose for Nintendo. They're going to have to find some type of formula in order to get out some information where people are going to enjoy it, but also keep that hype going where they're like, hey, those big games you're waiting for are still coming. I think the best solution to this is to just keep revealing things early. I know some people don't like that and they don't want to wait years and years. I mean, look what happened with Metroid Prime 4 and even Tears of the Kingdom, but still, I personally don't mind it. I don't mind seeing, you know, a new trailer once a year for Tears of the Kingdom as we wait and get closer and closer. It gives us something to look forward to while we also have tons of other goodies from Nintendo. So them revealing 3D Mario maybe even 2 years in advance would still keep fans eager and excited and looking forward to something while keeping morale high. So yes, I think Nintendo needs to keep having their general Nintendo Directs around the same time frames. Them waiting until April just is not good. And if you don't have a big game in the immediate future, just give us a sneak peek or something coming in the next couple of years. Something to talk about and something to get fans hyped for. I think having that alone would be well more than enough. And I don't even mind waiting. I mean, seriously, we've already waited almost a decade for the next 3D Mario. Just knowing about it would tie fans over. So I guess all we can do right now is just pray for this new Star Fox game. Pray that it actually turns out to be really good and it gets tons of marketing and people are able to see this thing when it's revealed and it just gets out there and it does the best that it possibly can, because this series and this game needs it, man. I am rooting so hard for this Star Fox game. Don't pull a Metroid Prime 4 and just flop. Please be good. But yeah, when do you think the next Nintendo Direct's going to happen? Are we going to get another Nintendo Direct ever again? Is Nintendo reworking the formula? What's happening behind the scenes, and what do you think is the reason why we haven't had one yet? Thank you for tuning in. I hope you all have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya, guys.